Hey Phil, what's doing with the Central Virginia preserve? I understand you're trying to buy all this property up.
Well, Mike,
what's going on
as you
there?
know, being a longtime volunteer, we're working on pitcher plant bog preservation in Virginia. And the Gatewood Wilson Tract is the upper recharge area, the very head of the spring that supports our native pitcher plant bog down on the Hall Tract.
Okay.
So we want to get watershed protection here and make sure we have the groundwater for our pitcher plants.
Okay, so nothing happens to this that will affect the preserve or the research facility downstream then.
Exactly.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things we were worried about, this property came up for sale 2 years ago, and we were very afraid that if somebody bought it, built a house on it, we'd have a bunch of sediment flowing into our bog downstream, and all our efforts would be compromised here. Fortunately, we had a conservation buyer out of Richmond, Dr. Ernest Wilson, that came forward, put up $95,000 and purchased this tract to hold it while we raised money to buy it. And we've recently received from the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation a matching grant of $56,000. We need to raise another $57,000. That'll pay for this tract, the 3 acres behind Meadowview. Both properties will then be held in permanent conservation easement, permanent protection by our local county, Caroline County.
Well, let me ask you this then. Will that give us complete protection downstream on the preserve? And are there other things flowing into it?
It's a start, Mike. In our 2009 newsletter, we actually outlined a preserve plan and identified all the properties that we wanted to acquire.
So there are other properties?
There are other properties, and we're actually about to go look at one of the properties we call Travesty House, which is now in foreclosure, which would give us additional intern housing, land for raising crops for students, and it would preserve important parts of the seepage bog feeding the Hall Tract. We're also have a contract on the Bass Tract, 15 acres, directly behind Meadowview, crystal clear springs, sand and gravel bottom springs. We're hoping to settle on that within the next year. It's in litigation, unfortunately.
Well, do we have funds for that?
We do. Another conservation supporter, Bill Scholl, has put up the money for that. That's $59,000. We have a lease-to-own contract with him, again, while we raise money to buy the land from him. He's actually going to get a better return. Instead of a 1% return from the bank, once we acquire that property, we're willing to pay 3% for land conservation. So it's a win-win situation where he gets a better return, we get the land protected. So very exciting times for Meadowview. Yeah. Well, let's go take a look.
Yeah.